Hi everyone, thanks for being with me. Now, the other day or last week or sometime quite recently, I was watching Sky News, which is a tremendous pastime, something which we all should be doing in order to get a sense of how ridiculous the other side of life really is. And in this particular instance, I was fascinated by Paul Murray, who thought that Donald Trump was a comedian. Now, there's nothing further from the truth. The man has never told a joke in his life, and if he did, I'm sure it was a rude one, because this man has no sense of a sense of decorum or understanding about anything that is humorous. Because certainly the man can't see his own situations at the moment with so many felony charges and so many convictions and all the other stuff that's happening to Trump. He doesn't see the funny side of any of that. But the thing about Sky News is that they never point out when he does things that are stupid, downright and ridiculously stupid. And so I have a clip here, something to be excited about, where Paul Murray's talking about how stupid Trump is. But the difference is that he sees Trump as being humorous. Now, he's not. Is saying the things that he's saying that are in this clip are dead serious. But the way that Sky decided to deal with this, or Paul Murray in particular, is that he wants us to think that this is Trump just being funny. Well, Trump isn't being funny. Trump's being extremely serious, talking about the most bizarre situation that one could ever imagine. This is the story where Trump talks about talking to a boat owner, and the boat owner had a battery running the vehicle and running the boat, and as the boat sinks, what happens to the battery if a shark's coming to it? Anyway, he talks about it here, and it's just a load of crap, which is typical of Trump. But the thing is, Paul Murray thinks it's quite humorous.
May I start with something a little dangerous? It's called a laugh. Now, I've got to say that I didn't think that Trump could be funnier on the campaign trail than when he was running for re-election and he was talking about taps and toilets.
So the interesting thing is here, the bizarre things that Trump talks about are seen by Murray as Trump being a comedian. Well, the reality is he isn't, but it is fascinating that this is the degree to which Paul Murray thinks that someone is specifically being funny.
Try going and buying a new faucet. You turn it on, no water comes out, right? We won't talk about toilets, but you know that's a But how about the shower? You go into a shower, and I have this beautiful head of hair. I need a lot of water. And you go into the shower, right? You turn on the water, drip, drip, drip. I call the guy, is something wrong with this? No, sir, it's just the restrictor. So you're in there 5 times longer than you're supposed to be.
One of the interesting things about these stories that Trump tells is that he tells the same story over and over again. So for anybody that's been to one of his rallies, it'd be like going to watch a comedian who just continually repeated the same joke. After a while, that comedian wouldn't be very funny, and people wouldn't attend their sessions, their performance. They would say, this is just too much, this is ridiculous, I'm not going to go again. But Trump, no, the great comedian that he is, according to Paul Murray, he keeps telling the same story over and over again.
Las Vegas, where currently it's bloody hot, but for the first time in a long time, a Republican, Trump, looks like he could win the state. If he wins the state, then he's a massive chance of being returned as the president. But I've got to say, there was one little bit inside a speech that was, yes, talking about all the very serious issues, but I couldn't help but think, thanks.
It's rare that Trump talks about any issue that is serious. The only person that he talks about throughout his whole stick is Biden and the Biden crime family, which they're not, but that's his focus, I guess. And it's very rarely talks about policies, and when he does talk about policies, they are outlandish policies such as getting rid of taxation and reinventing tariffs, so that so that it can create the most incredible recession in American history. So let's hear what more this wonderful man Paul Murray has to say about this.
I asked this question, and it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would...
The thing about that joke, that so-called joke about MIT, is that he raises it all the time. Now, he actually thinks that because his uncle went to MIT, he's as smart as his uncle. Now, we've heard this story for years, yet he's still churning it out. Not because it's funny, but because it says something to Donald Trump about Donald Trump if you're related to a smart person. And you've got to start thinking that if you're not too smart yourself. So there's interesting psychology in there about the way he projects everything. But certainly he doesn't think, he knows deep down he's not very smart. So the best thing to do is to say that you're related to somebody who is. I just love Murray here trying to put on the false laugh. Oh, it's so funny. He's talking about a battery. And he hasn't even got into the story at this point, and Murray just thinks it's absolutely hilarious.
Water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted, or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, nobody's ever asked me that question. I said, I think it's a good question. I think there's a lot of electric current coming through that water. But you know what I do?
The point is, for Trump, this is extremely serious shit, believe it or not. But to people like Paul Murray, who just feel compelled to try and justify the crazy things that Donald Trump says, then it must be, to some extent, it must be just humorous. So let me know what you think about all of that crap. Make a comment below. Subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, do whatever you need to do to have contact with me. But certainly give us some feedback on whether you've ever watched anything that Donald Trump has said or done and actually see the humour in it. Because I can guarantee you I don't, and neither do many millions of other people either. So in the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and more importantly, be safe.